Hi, I'm here today with Ramandeep discussing Square Peg. That's the charity that she runs. So I'll hand over to you to explain what you do.
Hi, Dave. I'll start by thanking you for having me on. It's a lovely opportunity to talk about Square Peg activities. We are a charity that's based in Sutton Coldfield, so that's northern part of Birmingham. And we're a charity that supports disabled children, and more importantly, we support the whole family. And what we do is we provide safe and accessible leisure activities specifically designed for young disabled people. I'm the chair of trustees and I've been with the charity for 6 years now. I think it's a really important charity because we know, and there have been reports that came out last year, that disabled children really struggle to access leisure activities during the summer holidays, during half term, during Christmas. A lot of places claim to be inclusive, but actually they put lots of barriers to participation. What we want to do is break down those barriers and make sure that a child with any kind of disability can access our building. They're all fully accessible. They can access all of the activities, but we include the siblings and mums and dads, so it's a whole family affair.
Yeah, it's not easy to find stuff that's suitable for children with additional needs, whether it be the environment not being suitable or just too difficult, and it's a very stressful experience. My eldest daughter actually has additional needs, and we find trying to balance what she wants to enjoy as a child and letting her be a child versus not letting things get out of a level she can cope with. Hers is more DLD, ADHD. She's currently being assessed for autism, and she has sensory processing disorder, and it just the simplest of things can spiral out of control. Birthday parties are difficult for her, really busy places are difficult, and it isn't easy. It's certainly not cheap to try and find things and options that can accommodate your child. So places like yours for families to go and enjoy it is really important.
Yeah, I agree. Your point about youngsters being overwhelmed, that's really important because our staff are mostly made up of parent carers themselves who have a real understanding of the issues that our kind of service users and children experience. Everything is around the child's needs. We think a lot about kind of the sensory environment. We have a brilliant sensory garden, we have a forest garden. All of our volunteers are fully trained on aspects of autism, aspects of learning disability. I myself am a parent. I've got three lads. My 18-year-old, who's my middle son, has learning disabilities, and he's kind of grown up going through Square Peg and attending a lot of their activities. We've actually put on a youth club, which I think this is the second year now, and it's been hugely successful. So it means as an 18-year-old now, I can drop him off there. He's got that little bit of independence, which we always try and encourage with children. And that's really good for him because there's a lot of things he can't do by himself. But because buildings are safe, our volunteers are fully trained, and the activities work around him. He might turn up one Friday and say, actually, all I want to do is sit in a corner and play with the Lego. That's absolutely fine. It's completely led by what our young people want to do. I think it's really important. And all our activities are free. We don't charge parents and families. If anybody would like to donate, that's always helpful. We're always grateful, and a lot of families will put in a little donation. And we offer things like trips to the pantomime, which is
Okay.
really popular every year. Again, we don't charge for that, but we will often say to people, if you have the money, have the capacity to put a little donation in, every penny helps. As we know, charities are always struggling financially. We also do something called a sensory Santa, which is hugely popular, gets booked out very, very quickly. And again, that's based around the sensory needs of a lot of the young people that come along. It's wonderful. I've actually been banned from going because I just never want to leave. So I've been told I can't attend. My son went this year, absolutely loved it. It was a Narnia theme, and it was really moving to see our youngsters just having the best time. And the thought that really went into planning this, I couldn't have come up with a brilliant idea like that. But Lauren, who does all of our events, she's mum to three young children who've all got varying degrees of autism. And she just comes up with these amazing ideas for our youngsters, and they absolutely love them. So, we would love more families to come and experience this really. It's very inclusive, it's very safe, and most of all, it's fun. The kids have a great time when they come to us.
I think that's one of the key things you covered there. It's the varying levels, and when we started to first realise there was things my daughter needs help with, I got so sick of her hearing the word spectrum. Is really just quite true, isn't it? My daughter, whilst needs support with things, and she would be very low on the spectrum, there's a lot she can do for herself. But because my daughters are very close in age, 5 and 7, it's so noticeable that the 5-year-old just finds life so much easier than the 7-year-old, and it just shouldn't be the case. So it highlights it. But I guess that's a challenge for a venue like yours, that you need to try and cater for such a broad range and put on events that are suitable for the kind of the broad spectrum that you of people you need to support. It's got to be pretty challenging yet pretty rewarding when you manage to pull it off.
I think it's challenging, but because a lot of our team are parent carers and they have that lived experience, so it's not as though any of this is really new to any of us. So we can really work around what our young people need, and we listen to families. So, somebody may come along and say, actually, that didn't quite work for my child. And we think, right, okay, that didn't work. What can we do to make that experience better? And something that we've actively started doing is we realised that we had a family who came along and the parents were deaf. And it struck us that although we'd learnt basic Makaton, none of us could do British Sign Language. So the entire team has now been on a British Sign Language course, which we do every Wednesday morning. And it's been wonderful to kind of learn a new language, because essentially that's what it is. And then that again opens us up to invite families to come in, and we can meet those needs as well.
And that must have meant a lot to that family, to be honest, that you all made such an effort to make them feel accepted, part of the community within the charity, and to feel supported. Because, yeah, as you say, we use basic Makaton. I have to say, I'll be honest, my wife knows it a hell of a lot better than me, and I can work with a very finite amount of basics. But we need that when we're in busy environments. Don't necessarily need it in the home, but if we've gone to the theatre or to signing, do you need to go to the toilet? All these kind of things, checking if she's just okay, are a lot easier with Makaton than trying to speak to her, really. So, yeah, all those challenges that you don't think about facing, I think it is really important. As I say, one of the biggest things I get concerned about her as a parent is she socially struggles. A lot of that, I think, comes from her developmental language disorder, because English is her first and only language, but she still doesn't pick it up as quick. So she could be playing with children and they ask her to do something, but she doesn't get it straight away. By the time she's processed that and understood what they've moved on.
Yeah.
So it's from another child's point of view, she's hard work to play with. And when you're 5, 6, 7, 8, you don't want hard work. You just want the child that's fun.
Yeah.
And I don't take that as them being personally horrible to her. It just makes it harder for her to fit in. I'm sure no one means to exclude her. It's just the game moves on, and she'll happily go and play on her own, but she seems happy, but that's so sad to watch as a parent, really,
Yeah.
because you just feel for them, and she's becoming more and aware now that she's different as she's getting that little bit older. So yeah, it's dealing with these and creating an environment where they can go and play, and it is great. I think we've supported you the last couple of years now since we discovered you as a charity, and I'm sure we will for many years to come while the foundation keeps running and we keep working. So I'd certainly encourage anyone to support you. And the small world that it is, my wife used to be a nurse at the children's, and she used to actually have patients she supported that then, when there was no longer a patient, went on to sort of use your services. So yeah, you said you must have been going a lot of years.
Yeah, we've been going quite a while. And actually, before we moved into the building that we're in now, we used to do stay and play sessions, but we used to have to constantly hire different venues. And of course, we were kind of lugging all this equipment around, and that was quite a challenge. But now we've got a building, so we're based in Boldmere in Sutton Coldfield. We've got two houses that have been adapted. They're fully accessible, so wheelchair friendly as well. And like I said, we've got a beautiful sensory garden, which we've actually had some adults with disabilities who've been coming in to use that space. So we're trying to open it out
Okay.
to slightly older people as well, because it's a very safe space. It meets a lot of sensory needs for older people as well. So we've had some groups that have come in and used that as well. We're really proud of what we've created. Credit is due to Sharon and Lauren, who are the mother and daughter team who set it up. They're incredibly passionate about this because, we've got children who have felt excluded, haven't been able to access safe places to play, and play is essential. When our children are little, it's a core part of how they learn. So they've got to be able to play. And if you can't play, as you're talking about your daughter there, and she kind of finds it difficult to process the information of the child has moved on to
Yeah.
somewhere, there'll be other children who are equally might be struggling to process. So, whatever delays they are, everybody's experiencing that, but you've got that support network around you to kind of bring that child back into the play.
Yeah.
Feels left out. That's kind of one of our core values, is to just make sure everybody feels included when they come. And I think that's why families really enjoy coming, because siblings can often be left out. I've got an older son and a younger son, and trying to find places that would accommodate all three of them used to be a nightmare when they were younger, because the older one wanted to do football. My middle son with a learning disability was kind of like, football? Nah. And the youngest wanted to do something else. And of course, I've always got to be there to support my disabled child. So when you come to
Yeah.
Square Peg, the siblings who aren't disabled can run around, do whatever they want. And your disabled child, your child with additional needs, will have their needs met in an environment that suits them. So I think that's a real kind of unique selling point for our charity, and it works.
Oh, it definitely is, and the fact that it's all parents that understand is good, because people would look at my daughter and say, they think because she's still undergoing certain assessments because of her age, they almost think you're making it up. It feels like, because they go, "Oh, she's fine. I don't. She's just a child being a child." And then recently we went away with friends for a weekend, and that was the longest time they'd spent with her. And I was having a drink with them on the last day, and they went, "We see exactly what you're saying. She just struggles, doesn't she? You can see there's a build up. It's now got to that point in the weekend where it's too much." And I was like, "It's a small thing, but it's a totting up." And people can't get used to that. And when you talk about it, it's so true, because we've got two children. That means sometimes I can do one with one and my wife does something with the other child. But it's very hard to meet the needs of both children, because you're either making your child that struggles struggle more, or you feel that you're making your other child miss out.
Yeah.
And it's the constant struggle to try and find that balance. And people don't mean it, but when they ask you why you didn't do this or why you didn't, you feel like you're being judged. You
Yeah.
know, whether it's like, oh, but wouldn't she have coped with that?
Yeah.
No, I don't think she would have. And I've had to make a decision in the moment of what I think's best.
Mm.
And then you have the battle with schools
Yeah.
because they're underfunded and ill equipped to deal with children with additional needs. If you haven't got extreme additional needs, there certainly isn't special school places. And even if you have, there are lots of schools that just don't have enough room and people on multiple year waiting lists. You then battle for extra funding for schools, which we're currently appealing a decision where she didn't get a extra. And it's just, but we was told that pretty much everyone gets turned down straight away and you've got to appeal at least once. So it's all part of the game that parents have to battle. So having someone like yourself to turn to for that support, speaking to the people who work there who are parents as well, must provide a real respite and comfort for the families that use you.
Yeah, I think it does actually. And it's a real opportunity for parents to come along, to chat about what's happening in their children's lives, the battles, as you say, with the local authority, trying to secure your EHCP, trying to secure a school place, trying to get an assessment. And we try and do a lot of signposting already. So we'll say to parents, have you gone down this route or have you considered talking to this person? But I think just for the families to be able to sit and have a cup of tea and have a chat and kind of go, do you know what? I'm really going through a tough time at the minute. And there's always somebody who'll go, maybe I can help you with that, or have you considered this or considered that? Certainly, I've sometimes gone and just to kind of sit with parents and see what they're chatting about. And I come away and think, oh, I've learned something new today. I didn't even know that, and I'm 18 years into the journey with my son. So there's always something that I pick up from parents. When you become a parent of a young person with additional needs or a disabled young child, you often find that I hesitate to use the word mainstream, but your mainstream friends tend to start to slip away, you know, because you can't go out on a Friday night because you're looking after your child, or you can't go to a birthday party, or I can't come to the trampoline park because my child's not going to cope. It's overwhelming. So when our families come to Square Peg, there's that real kind of community feeling amongst the families. And there's always somebody who's there to offer you a cup of tea and say, right, do you want to have a chat about anything? Do you want to have a moan about something? Or do you just want to have 10-minute break while your child is, enjoying the garden or painting or, whatever activity they're involved in? So I think, for families, it's a safe space. It's a nice community feeling. And we learn so much from each other because it's a struggle. I do believe it's a struggle for most parents. So I think again that's something else that people have found really valuable when they've come to Square Peg.
Oh yeah, I can imagine it really does sort of help, and that support often isn't there for people, is it? In terms of obviously, you've every charity struggles for funding and struggles for support. Have you got any current fundraising drives, or what's the best way for people to support you?
Well, you can always go onto our website and we have links where you can donate. So we're always grateful. We do rely on donations. We don't get any local authority funding at all. So we're very much focused on grants. Yeah, if anybody would just like to pop a donation on our website, we're often named as charity of the year by particular groups. I'm not sure if we've got somebody set up for this year. So Dave, if you know anyone who would like to sponsor us as their charity of the year, that would be really helpful. Yeah, and if anybody is out there and would like to fund or sponsor a charity or support us in any way, we would be hugely grateful.
I always check in case you've got a run or an event sorted, but I'm guessing anyone can choose to make you their charity if they're running, whether it be a park run, a 10K, a half marathon, a marathon. I would implore any parents who have children with additional needs to reach out to you guys as well and get the support, and in turn spread the message of what you do, because whilst not every child does need your support, there are a lot of children that do, and that seems to only be growing. From looking at school systems now, there seems to be more and more children with maybe only slight, but also children with lots of additional needs. And as a society, we've got to do what we can to let them be children. It's not as simple as people think, is it? I would encourage anyone to support you. You was one of our 18 charities for this year, and I'm sure Kirsty will keep making sure you bang on the list each year.
Oh,
So
fantastic.
if anyone watching wants to just donate 5, 10, £20, go onto your website and get that donated. See, we've covered a lot and digressed into my daughter's needs a few times. Is there anything that you'd like to discuss that we've not covered?
I can, I mean, if you're happy to have me throw a few figures at you and kind of let
Yeah,
you know how many people we've supported. I will have to read from a list because I can't remember. I'm at that time of
yeah.
life where my memory's not great at the moment. So last year we supported in total 129 families. We had 169 individual children who came to all of our summer holiday sessions, and year on year that increases, hence why we've now gone into two buildings. We just need that additional space. And we also then had 91 disabled adults who attended our sessions as well. This is part of our growth. We'd like to invite adults to come and use our space as well. And there's something else that we also do that we find parents really enjoy is we do breakfast meetups. So
Okay.
we post dates on the website, or you can join. We have a couple of WhatsApp groups which you can become a part of. We organise these brilliant breakfast events. And again, it's an opportunity for parents to kind of air any worries, concerns, celebrate good news. You know, if your child's achieved something brilliant, or if you've won at tribunal, it could be a space where you go, right, I'm going to raise a toast with my cappuccino and we can celebrate getting
Yeah.
through a tribunal. So there's lots of opportunities throughout the year. And with our new building now, we've got quite a large space where we're hoping to bring parents in and make it a kind of meeting space, and we can do well-being events because we do so much for the children, but we see that parents are really struggling behind the scenes, and sometimes they just need a bit of a break, and they can have that with us.
Yeah. No, it's true. I think in a lot of charities I've dealt with and spoke to over the years, a lot gets focused on the person with the needs or with the illness or that needs the help. But actually, it's often the partner, the parent, the sibling that actually bears the brunt of that, really, because no one thinks of them, no one checks on them, no one just puts their arm around them and go, "Are you okay?" So yeah, to hear you doing those breakfast mornings, particularly for moms to go and get the support, because stereotypically, we men and women deal with things differently. We communicate differently. Yes, we should talk more. I mean, I've just been chatting to a mental health charity. I should be talking about definitely talking more, but you know, we deal with Edward's Trust, for an example, and they do a thing with parents' retreats where they split it between men and women because it creates an environment and a culture where they can communicate in the way that suits them. So I have no doubt providing the support of those breakfast morning really does make a difference. So if it's always it's always good to hear about and see where our small contribution kind of helps charities each year. So hopefully we can encourage more people to
Yeah.
make you their charity of the year or charity of the month and send some money your way. even if they just hold their own coffee morning for you or dress
Yeah.
down day, or whatever it might be.
Yeah, we've just had one of our families did the Sutton Fun Run and raised a
Okay, yeah.
huge amount of money. You know, I mean, I I have to doff my hat to them because I can't walk 2 kilometres, without falling apart at the seams, let alone do the fun run. So credit where credit's due. Get some wonderful support from the families who use us, but it would be nice for other people to put their hand in the pocket because we are doing something quite unique. Certainly, we are the only charity in the north of Birmingham that has play facilities during the holidays for children with additional needs. So, yeah, we would love support from whichever avenue we can get it from. And we're hugely grateful to you, Dave, for your support over the last couple of years. It really helps us to just put on really lovely events for the children because it's all about them.
Yeah, I'll talk to you a bit afterwards, but we've got a couple of things that we might be able to support you with that you can utilise for the families. I love that we're able to support particularly smaller local charities. It's just everyone knows of them. Everyone makes big donations to them. And sometimes the great work of some of the smaller charities where literally hearts and souls get poured into that gets unnoticed. I always find it a little emotional when any of you are talking because of the passion you show. I can see what it means. So we need you all to keep doing your work. Everyone else, get on their website. Go on, just give them a tenner. It won't hurt. I'll speak to you all soon.
Thanks, Dave.